Yo guys, what is up? It is Nick. We are back today. We are going to be going over what you can do, the limited preparation that you can do to get yourself ready for Generation 2 of Pokemon Go. I'm not going to try to say I have a release date. I don't know. There hasn't been anything confirmed, so I'm not going to act like I know a date. Just when it comes out, you can start to prepare now, and then even when the next generation comes out, I'll make a video then, shortly after it comes out, and I'll go over, because there are a couple of Pokemon, I believe, in Gen 2 that have Gen 3 evolutions afterwards. But today we're going to be going over the evolutions that you can start to prepare for Generation 2. So when they come out, you'll have the candies you need, and you can evolve right away. There are some that I'll advise against evolving, just simply because there may be methods you need to use to get the certain Pokemon. I'll go over certain little speculations I have and stuff like that. Generation 2 is the Pokemon that are mostly in Colosseum, which is the Gamecube game that's currently on my channel. The legendary Pokemon for this one is the 3 legendary dogs, Ho-Oh, Lugia, Celebi, and also I thought it would be interesting to see how they introduce Unknown, because there's a ton of unknowns, all the letters and stuff, and also Togepi, if they'll make that like an event Pokemon or whatnot. But I'll give you guys the candies that I believe you'll need to save up and any suggestions on other stuff like that. But first, we'll go into Gloom and Bellossom. The type is grass. Weaknesses are bug, fire, flying, ice, and poison. The way it was evolved in the games was by using a sunstone on Gloom. Now, my personal speculation is that you'll be able to evolve it during the day or in sunlight. The game does pick up when it's daytime. I'm not quite sure how well it picks up when it's nice and sunny out and stuff like that. That would be the simplest way of avoiding having to put stones in the game, is just allow you to evolve into Bellossom during the day. I included the Pokédex entries for these Pokemon because I know there are some new people to Pokemon Go that haven't played Pokemon in a while or have never played Pokemon. So I included the Pokédex entries just to give you guys a general idea of what each Pokemon is like. When Bellossom gets exposed to plenty of sunlight, the leaves ringing its body begin to spin around. This Pokemon's dancing is renowned in the southern lands. Now, for most of these Pokemon, I'm just going to be talking for about a minute and a half about each of them, not going into huge detail, but giving you guys speculation and stuff like that. With Gloom into Bellossom, Bellossom should take 100 candies. Gloom into Vileplume currently takes 100 candies. Technically, if you want to go from oddish, it's 125 candies, but we're just talking about Gloom into Bellossom. And so it should be 100 candies, and my speculation is that it should be during the day in sunlight. Next is Slowpoke into Slowking. Slowking is the other evolution that's not Slowbro. Its type is water and psychic. Its weaknesses are bug, dark, electric, ghost, and grass. In the game, it was evolved by trading a Slowpoke while it's holding a King's Rock. While we do know that they are adding trading into the game, we do not currently have the ability to have our Pokemon hold items, so it'll be interesting if they add that feature and then you can trade with a friend. It's kind of annoying that you would have to trade with a friend, but that would be the way that you would have to do it in order to guarantee you get your Slowking back. The Pokédex entry is Slowking undertakes research every day in an effort to solve the mysteries of the world. However, this Pokemon apparently forgets everything it has learned if the shelter on its head comes off. Now, the only other way that I could see evolving Slowking is just simply trading it. You don't need to have it hold a King's Rock, because it doesn't evolve into Slowpoke if you trade it, or it doesn't evolve into Slowbro if you trade it. So it should maybe just allow you to trade it, evolve a Slowpoke into a Slowking simply by trading it, and it should take roughly 50 candies. But there could be later in the game where they add holdable items, which would add some interesting, it'd add some more competitiveness to battles, and it would also allow for trades to evolve Pokemon like in the games. Next is Golbat into Crobat. Crobat is a poison flying type. Its weakness is electric, psychic, ice, and rock, and in the games it was evolved by happiness. Now, happiness was gained through multiple different ways. Some games allowed you to increase happiness different ways than others, but in general, you got it from having the Pokemon for a while, battling with it, going around with it, leveling it up, different stuff like that. Not feeding it herbs, or not healing it with herbs, and stuff like that. So this could still very well be the way to do it. They may add a happiness meter, and I'll get in that in a second. Let me read the Pokédex entry. This Pokemon is flying by fluttering only a pair of wings on either the forelegs or hind legs is proof that Crobat has been flying a long distance. It switches the wings it uses if it is tired. With the happiness, they could add a happiness bar where you had to fill it up. It could simply just be right underneath the picture of the Pokemon, and what that would allow you to do is fill up the happiness bar, and then it would allow you to evolve. Like now it says if you click on it, you don't have enough candies. Well, now it would say your happiness isn't high enough. There's plenty of room all over the different page for the Pokemon to add a happiness bar. And this Pokemon would most likely take 100 candies. It currently takes 50 Zubat candies to evolve into a Golbat, so I would assume 100 candies into a Crobat. Next is Poliwhirl into Politoed. Politoed is the other evolution from Poliwrath. Politoed is a water Pokemon. Its weaknesses are electric and grass, and in the games, it is evolved by training a Poliwhirl while holding a King's Rock. So another Pokemon where you need to trade it while holding an item. Once again, they could just add a feature where if you just trade it at all, it'll evolve into a Politoed. The Pokédex entry is the curled hair on Politoed's head is proof of its status as a king. It is said that the longer and more curled the hair, the more respect this Pokemon earns from its peers. Politoed, I like Politoed personally a lot more than Poliwrath, but it should take 100 candies. It currently takes 50 candies to evolve from Poliwhirl into Poliwrath. Another thing that they could do with these evolutions is just to simply allow you to pick. On a Pokemon like Gloom, there'd be an option, evolve to Vileplume, 100 candies. Evolve to Bellossom, 125 candies. Maybe make you pay a little bit more at the beginning for the Generation 2 evolution. But then that would solve the problem of you having to trade. It would solve the problem of happiness and other stuff like that. But you currently can't do that with the evolutions, which tends to make me believe that you won't be able to do that with these. They'll have special limitations and stuff like that. Next is Chansey into Blissey. Blissey is a normal type, and its only weakness is fighting. It's evolved in the game by happiness, which, like I said, was a multitude of different things. Most likely for Pokemon Go, it would be walking around, how much distance you traveled with the Pokemon, and how long you've had it, probably. And maybe if you took it into enough battles at a gym. The Pokédex entry for Blissey is Blissey senses sadness when its fluffy coat of fur. If it does so, this Pokemon will rush over to a sad person, no matter how far away, to share a lucky egg that brings a smile to any face. Blissey, one of the most tanky Pokemon in all of Pokemon. That's what it would be used for. I would assume it would be 100. Currently, Chansey doesn't have an evolution, so I can't. But I would assume it would be 100 to evolve a Chansey into a Blissey. I have a Chansey now, and I got a decent amount of candies from hatching it, but if it's 100 candies, you need to hatch probably 5 to be safe in order to evolve it into a Blissey, because most likely you're going to hatch the Chansey from an egg, so you're going to probably need to hatch 5 Chanseys, and the HP on Blissey, I would assume, would be somewhere between 500 and 700 after the evolution, which would make Blissey an incredible gym Pokemon. Next is Onix into Steelix. If you didn't know now, Onix, if you go to the final evolution of every Pokemon, Onix has the lowest health. Its type is Steel and Ground for Steelix. The weakness is Fighting, Fire, Ground, and Water. In the games, it was evolved while holding a metal coat. Now, for this Pokemon, Onix doesn't have another evolution. It's only Steelix at this point. So you could probably just evolve Onix into Steelix. Don't need to worry about trading it. They can just add that to the game. Pokédex entry is Steelix lives even further underground than Onix. This Pokemon is known to dig toward the Earth's core. There are records of this Pokemon reaching a depth of over 6/10 of a mile underground. Steelix is a pretty cool Pokemon. It's a better Onix to a certain extent. The weaknesses it have are pretty common weaknesses, with it being fire and water most of all, and then ground and fighting are still common, but it has a lot of weaknesses to a lot of popular things. And in the games, the movesets were decent for Steelix, but the movesets kind of sometimes held him back. He needed more TMs than anything, but that doesn't really apply to Pokemon Go. But it may make making a good Steelix with a good moveset a little bit harder. And I would assume Onix into Steelix would cost either 50 or 100. I'm not entirely sure. Next is Porygon into Porygon 2. Porygon is currently not available to hatch out of an egg, so it is one of the it's probably the rarest Pokemon in the game right now, would be Porygon. The type is normal, its only weakness is fighting, and it is evolved in the games by trading a Porygon while holding an upgrade. You shouldn't need that. You should just be able to click on Porygon and evolve it, because there isn't a Porygon. There's not like a split Porygon evolution here, so you should just be able to evolve it. The Pokédex entry is Porygon 2 was created by humans using the power of science. The man-made Pokemon has been endowed with artificial intelligence that enables it to learn new gestures and emotions on its own. Porygon 2 looks more like a rubber ducky than it does. Porygon 1 looks like it's like computer built. You know what I'm talking about, the blocks on the computers when they're pre-designing stuff. And then Porygon 2 looks like a rubber duck, or the final version, really. But this should cost either 50 or 100 candies in order to evolve. And since you can't hatch it from an egg, I'm not sure how many people in the world even have a Porygon to begin with, let alone enough candies to evolve into a Porygon 2. If it is indeed 50 or 100 candies, I could easily see them making it 25 candies just because Porygon is such a rare Pokemon. Next is Seadra into Kingdra. I'm really looking forward to this one. I like Kingdra as a Pokemon. The type is Water Dragon, and its weaknesses are Dragon and Fairy. I would have thought Electric would have been super effective, but according to the Pokédex entry, it's not. But I think it is, but I might be wrong. It's evolved in the games by trading a Seadra while holding a Dragon Scale. Once again, there's not a split path from Seadra to Kingdra, so you should just be able to evolve it in the game without having to trade it or do anything special. It should be 100 candies, I believe, so typical, pretty standard evolution from Seadra to Kingdra. The Pokédex entry is Kingdra lives at extreme ocean depths that are otherwise uninhabited. It has long been believed that the yawning of this Pokemon creates spiraling ocean currents. Now Seadra, if you do notice now, is pretty crappy. You don't get a very good Seadra, but evolving it into Kingdra, like I think I have like a 724 Seadra, which is pretty bad, and I'll be honest, it's pretty bad. But into a Kingdra, it probably hits 13 or 1400 CP. Seadra is kind of nerfed a little bit for Gen 1 because it doesn't have its final evolution form to get fully beefed up. So I would assume probably like an 1100 Seadra is about the highest you can get, and that would lead to a beastly Kingdra. Next is Scyther into Scizor. This is one that I really like, and Scizor is a bug and steel type. Its weakness is fire, and it is evolved in the games by trading a Scyther while holding a metal coat. Now, this shouldn't be the case. Once again, it's just a Pokemon with a single evolution. Should just be able to evolve Scyther into Scizor. Scyther is one of the Pokemon that I do not have yet. I'm kind of sad about that. I need to get on some sort of Scyther grind because I want a Scizor. Scizor is going to be one beastly Pokemon when you're able to get it, because Scyther you can get already like 1300 Scythers, then you'll evolve into a Scizor. The Pokédex entry is Scizor has a body with the hardness of steel. It is not easily phased by ordinary sorts of attacks. This Pokemon flaps its wings to regulate its body temperature. Scizor is just one of the coolest Pokemon. For a while, it was one of the rare Pokemon that you could have in the older games, just simply because it was so hard to trade in the older games. So it has a special place for people like me who played the old games and didn't have a whole lot of exposure to Scizor, like back in the like Sapphire and Ruby Emerald days and the Fire Red and Leaf Green days. Those days when it was hard, you had to have a transfer cable and you had a friend right next to you. Next is Eevee into Umbreon. I do have Espeon on here, but we'll split it. We're splitting them up. Umbreon is dark, fighting, bug, and fairy are its weaknesses, and in the game, it was evolved by happiness at nighttime. You guys can guess how Espeon was evolved. Pokédex entry is Umbreon evolved as a result of exposure to the moon's waves. It hides silently in darkness and waits for its foes to make a move. The rings on its body glow when it leaps to attack. Now, one way that they could easily solve this is to make Umbreon and Espeon's evolutions from Eevee 50 candies. Now, that would suck because it's double what Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon is, but it would also make it easier. You would be able to evolve Umbreon at night, to simply evolve between the hours of 6 and 6 probably, and I guess 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And then with Espeon, you would evolve from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it would simply just make... I guess it would depend on your time zone, really, on when it gets dark exactly. But that's personally for my time zone, what exactly happens. I think that would be a nice baseline time to do it. And 50 candies, not outrageous, and... you could make Umbreon and Espeon just as good as maybe like Vaporeon. Make them evolve into maybe like a 700 Eevee evolve into like an 1800 Umbreon or Espeon. Espeon is a psychic type. Its weaknesses are Bug, Dark, and Ghost. It's evolved in the game by happiness during the daytime. The Pokédex entry for Espeon is extremely loyal to any trainer it considers to be worthy. It is said that this Pokemon developed its precognitive powers to protect its trainer from harm. These are my two favorite evolutions personally, Umbreon and Espeon. It's why I actually am playing Pokemon Coliseum and why I like that game so much. Not only is it a great game and Wes is the best protagonist, but I personally love the two Pokemon that you get as starters in that game. And just like I said with Umbreon, 50 candies, evolve it during the daytime, would just solve a whole lot of issues that we could potentially have. They could do it less, but it seems like they like to go into intervals of 25. So I think that would be fair to do it at 50 for Umbreon and Espeon. I wouldn't be too upset about that. I know people would because it's a lot more candies. But personally for me, that's not too big of a deal. 50 candies. Eevees are pretty common. And if you've opened enough 10k eggs, you have hatched Eevees. So... you do have some extra Eevee candies from that overall. But that is pretty much the wrap-up of all the Pokemon. I'm looking forward to pretty much all of them. I do like most of the evolutions that are new, like the split ones. I like the new Generation 2 ones more than I like the Generation 1 versions. Like, I like Bellossom way more than I like Vileplume. Same with Politoed over Poliwrath. But there are a ton of new Pokemon coming out. The starters being Cyndaquil, Totodile, and Bayleaf, right? Yeah, it's Bayleaf. Which are great starters. I like the starters in the old games a lot more than the new ones. Not saying I hate the new ones, but the old ones... I think it's just nostalgia, but this is probably my third favorite set from the older games. I think I like the original ones, then I like third gens, and then I like second gens. But they've got plenty of new Pokemon. Togepi, Unknown will be interesting, like I said, how they go about those. The legendary Pokemon. Suicune and Rayquaza for me are tied for my two favorite legendary Pokemon, so I'll be super excited when Suicune comes out. I'm willing, for Rayquaza and Suicune, not really any other legendaries, I will probably travel a significant distance if it allows me to get those two, depending on if it's ridiculous or not. Hopefully they aren't like region exclusives or anything like that. They don't do anything like that with legendaries. That would be really annoying. I could see them doing a multitude of things with legendaries that I'm not even going to get into exactly. They have the battle thing now, but they could do multitudes of things with different legendaries depending on the legendary Pokemon. But guys, that's going to do it. Let me know if I missed anything, or if there should have been something else I covered, and maybe I'll touch on it in my next Pokemon Go video. But I do hope you guys all enjoyed this one. Drop a like if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and I will catch you all in the next Pokemon Go video. The one tomorrow is it's a great Pokemon Go video. We evolve a bunch of new Pokemon. I get a Pokemon that I really wanted, and I get a bunch of new stuff, and it's just a really cool, it's just a lit episode. There's just great stuff in that episode. It was just a really good video, I think, of catching a bunch of different Pokemon, new Pokemon, and all of that stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped you get a little bit more prepared for the upcoming Generation 2, whether it comes out in a month or it comes out in 6 months. At least you can start semi-preparing for when it drops. But hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out, guys.